everybody. This is Cree with Betting on Me podcast, a podcast really about like just chit-chatting with ordinary people with extraordinary stories who also go through, you know, the weight of the world, but can inspire you all to just keep going, to bet on yourselves, to just offer some inspiration. Today, we have Scotty.
That'd be me.
Howdy, bud.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Do you want to cheers our drinks?
Sure. It's a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed that after that whole car thing. My car broke down on the side of the road today on the highway. No big deal. She's fine. Anyways, alrighty. So we were talking earlier about your grieving process with your best friend Trouble. We talked about a little bit about your dating world and your insight about dating. Yeah, and we talked about self-care Sundays.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Where do you want to start?
let's start with self-care Sunday because
Okay.
one, it is Sunday, and two, I'm big on like self-care. I'm just a lover of mental health. So to see a Black man like talking about mental health and taking care of himself and inspiring other people to do the same, like I would love to touch on that.
Sure.
So what that look like?
Well, to start, my dad's a therapist, a licensed therapist. He has a practice called a Safe Space. So shout out to my pops. Definitely, his whole concept behind his practice is to eradicate the stigma of Black men and mental health. And so he's been doing that for a few years. Through that, I do youth development. So I have an after-school program about social emotional learning. It starts at elementary schools. And so that's how I got into the youth development and the self-care portion of it, studying that to teach the curriculum. And then I have a platform called the Change Creators. And so with the Change Creator community, we have two initiatives, one being Supportive Saturdays. So we're going to support a Black-owned business, or we support the youth. And then on Sundays, we do Self-Care Sundays. And so we're just starting it this month. Self-Care Sundays is every Sunday we do something different. So on first Sundays, we do an adult field trip. The second Sundays, we do a mental health field trip.
So like, what's an adult field trip look like?
Like bowling, go-kart, something fun. I was looking up this thing called whirly ball that I want to do. It's really like a mixture between like go-karts and like lacrosse. It's like
Okay, that's cute.
something fun, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just anything fun. So that's an adult field trip. Mental health field trip is like going to the waterfall. So we're going to the waterfall next Sunday.
So maybe something active and physical. Dope.
And then every third Sunday we give back, so we do feed the homeless. And then on the fourth Sundays we do physical fitness, and so
Okay.
we have a partnership with the gym, and we do boxing. We have a boxing training session
What
there.
gym?
Don't get me lying. Dang, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
It's all good in the hood.
It's in, dang it. I want to say, I don't want to say the wrong name because there's so many brands of gyms right now. I know it's off in East Point. Ooh, he gonna kill me for this. I cannot think the name of it right now. He literally, because we used to be at Mustafa's boxing gym, and so my trainer from there just moved to this gym. But they're all my friends. I want to say it's Members Elite or something.
What if we like stop the podcast and like when you figure out the name of it, just like glue it in there.
I
Can you do
literally-
that? Can you glue in that?
Like, look, hold on. I
Whoever
can
edits?
actually,
You can't do that? Okay, we can figure that out.
I can look at it right now. Hold on.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Bryson, there it is. What's his gym name? Members Elite. I was right. Yeah, Members Elite. I was right. I just didn't want to say Elite Fitness because that's another gym. So yeah, I was trying to make sure I didn't cross the thing. But Members Elite, we have a good relationship with them. Some of my good brothers, and so they allow us to use the gym every last Sunday of the month for our boxing class.
Nice. Alrighty. So you have all like the sectors, I feel like, of like mental health and wellness. You know, you have the physical part, you have the acts of service part.
Right.
That's really dope. And just being around like really amazing, like-minded people who can feed off each other's energy.
That's the whole thing about the community, right? It's like we have a lot of people who work in similar spaces, but they're not working together. So my whole thing is to build a community and just have us fellowship together.
Yeah.
And really get to know each other. A lot of my friends are in politics or activists, and we don't really get to see each other outside of protests and things like that. So it's like, how do we really get to know each other and build and support each other's other missions we have going on? So while we're bowling, you might find out about something else that he has going on later on in the week or something.
Yeah.
We can all support one another. My whole biggest thing is supporting anybody that's doing something positive. Like, it's not enough of that, and it's never about myself. And so I just like to show up for other people and just be like, look, I'm here to support whatever I can do to support you and help your cause. I'm here for it, especially if it's positive.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's like when we talk about community, so randomly, you know, I met Tybidi, and we kind of have like similar things that we do as far as like the mental health part, acts of service. Like my main, something I'm really like, something that I'm really, can we just stop right quick? I just want to give you so I have like PMDD, and so like every month I get terrible brain fog. So right now I'm dealing with my terrible brain fog, and so we're just gonna have to do some edits.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so giving back and acts of service is something I'm really like, what the fuck is the word, bro?
Well, what are you looking for?
Passionate about.
Oh, okay.
Bro, it's something I'm really passionate about, and so I try to make sure that I feed people without, you know, resources, give people clothes, feed them anything that they need, especially women. And so like
Sounds like you're a change creator.
I am. But we're
It's about
actually,
different ways.
I'm hosting an event with 2 other people, and I think you know Jason. Jason from the Loft, Mr. 2 Weeks Out.
It's funny, we know each other. He actually knows my dad. So I forgot how we were all, I was doing this thing, this Black Man Mental Health Link Up, and he happened to be there, and my dad's a therapist that was speaking at the event, and so from there they contacted each other, and I think he had my dad, we spoke at the Loft. It was funny, I hadn't even had no voice. It was the funniest thing. I was like, y'all know. I was like, why do I sound like this? I hadn't had a voice for 2 weeks. I don't even know why. But him and my dad are pretty cool. So definitely, he always invites my dad out to speak at the Loft to men's events. So they did something there with like, I think with Love and Hip Hop.
Love and Hip Hop,
Yeah,
yeah.
me and my dad spoke at that event.
I remember that. I saw some videos of you guys. So I work at the Loft, so I do remember that and help put that on. But we're doing an event that gives back, and we're calling it the Big Give Back. And it's just to, you know, supply some resources for people without. And I think you would be like
yes,
a great addition.
However we can support anybody giving back, I'm with that.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted. Thanks.
Sure.
So do you have both your parents?
I do.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
So my run-in with grief is losing my mom. This is like the most, I've never experienced grief before. I didn't really understand what that meant. I have like a crazy shell around my heart, and it feels like I didn't understand what other people were going through when they lost somebody.
True.
And so now I have a better idea of grief, but I know that I didn't necessarily handle my grief well, and so I dissociated a lot. How did you handle your grief or continue to handle it?
I think that grief is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's never over.
No.
It's easily triggered.
Yes.
You know, last night I found myself crying.
Yeah.
About it. But I've seen a lot of deaths, a lot of young deaths. I've lost a lot of young friends. And I think that we all have to give each other that space to learn how to deal with it. I think you never know what it's like to grieve until it hits you and it's right next to you. But I think at first I didn't handle it well. Only reason I say that is because I was dealing with so much before the trouble had passed. Like I had been to within the last 2 years, I've probably been to like 20 funerals. And so even after he passed, I think I went to he passed in June of last year. I went to 5 more funerals, like a funeral every month, the rest of that year.
Are these people you know, or just
yes, like one of my other best friends who I have a business partner with, I had a clothing line called Black Royalty Clothing, and Ridge, he passed on Thanksgiving night. So he was one of my huge supporters as well. One of my first business partners that really taught me professionalism. He was actually a person that was helping me grieve the death of Trouble, because he had a friend that was killed in April, and so we had a similar understanding of grief at that moment, like, and someone who had my attention, who had my ear, who was really in my ear all the time, positively, like, uplifting me, just letting me know that, like, what we're going through is very traumatic. It's not a normal experience, and people, especially when you're in a space of an activist or an organizer, and people are used to you being the resource, people expect you to go back to normal, and I didn't know what normal was at that time. I was trying to figure out what my new normal was, and I was very hurt. I was very angry at the world. It wasn't even nothing that I could say someone did to me. I literally woke up for like maybe 6 to 8 months for the rest of that year, and was just angry. And I was just like, God, I can't believe you did me like that. Like, I thought I had everything figured out. Like, I thought I had the perfect plan of how we build a community, how we get the streets involved, how we keep it, be some real niggas, how we do everything the right way. And then in one night it disappeared. And it was like, whew. And so it was very heavy. And I think that through grief, I think we have to learn to allow everyone that they grieve differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think that I had made a post. I don't think I posted the second part of it, but I feel like we try to find a relatable concept through death, right? Like how you said you had a situation with your mom. Your situation with your mom is different than my situation with my friend. You see what I'm saying? I think that a lot of times people do that to try to be compassionate and to give comfort, but it also comes off as dismissive of your own pain because it feels like we're comparing pain.
You think so?
I do. And I think like, and maybe that was in my anger. And because I remember one of my friends, and I felt bad afterwards, but I remember like someone telling me that their grandparents died, you know, at 90. And I was just like,
there is a difference. I understand there is a difference. But it's like they're really attempting to try. You
right, they are. They don't mean nothing by it.
You are, because whether or not how they died, when they died, the loss of somebody lives in us.
Right.
And so it's almost like an act of service and an act of disservice. Like they want to try to help, but
right. I don't think we know how to. And I think that like you just have to
no one knows shit, right?
And I think we just have to allow people to have their space to ask comforting questions, but a lot of times just be there. Like it doesn't really take trying. I think people want you to talk so much, and when you can't find the words to even describe your pain at that time. And so I think that like it feels forced. For me, I felt like overwhelmed with the support though.
Yeah.
And it's because I said like I have been through a lot of different deaths, and I've always dealt with them myself or with my close network of friends. And so there were so many people that were like, and because Trouble's such a big figure in Atlanta,
right?
I low-key became annoyed by it in a sense because it was like, y'all don't even know him like that. You know what I'm saying? Like even yesterday, somebody was like, what about the fans? Are you gonna put the music out for the fans? I'm just like, I get it. I understand that, you know, he was a celebrity and things like that, but like, I'm a person that gotta go sit with his sister, his mom, his son, his daughter. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go see them. That's heartbreaking every time. You know, his son looks exactly like him. His daughter looks exactly like him. And I'm sitting there like, this shit don't feel right.
Fuck them fans.
Right. And it's like, I don't even like, you know, and so I think that we have to give people their space.
Yeah.
And then understanding it. But you never understand it until you go through it.
That's what, that is
and
very
because
important.
And the only thing that I can say that kind of prepared me is because I'm an activist and I've dealt with a lot of families who are victims of police brutality.
Yeah.
But even in that, right, it's different when you're dealing with it every day. It's like, I can show up for someone, then I can go home. But that family, that pain that family feels, they feel that every day.
Constantly.
Undeniable. And so until it gets to the point where, like one person told me, who knew me and him very well, they was like, I don't really be around you like that no more because it really reminds me of his death. And I was like, well, I wish I had that choice to not be reminded of it. I wish I had that choice to be like, you know what? I don't even want to think about that right now. But again, at that time, when you have over 200 songs that was unreleased, and it's just like, you feel a sense, especially with young death, you feel a sense of stolen opportunity.
Yeah.
Stolen greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw so much more for what we wanted to do, what we were building. And like I said, I felt like it was unfair to compare situations because then I would react with like, well, did y'all have a business together? Was y'all fucking bitches together?
Period. No, I get you.
Like, well, y'all going on double date.
It's yours.
And so I think we all have to allow our space for that. And the thing about Trouble that made him so special is like, I'm not the only person that feels like Trouble was my best friend. There's about 10 people that feel that way because he communicated with so many people on a regular basis, which is phenomenal in its own right. You know what I mean? And so I think that the grieving process has to be just one where you just show up. You don't have to say nothing.
With all you know with grief and, you know, all the times you've had to witness it, how do you show up now? If someone passes away, like how do you show up?
I'm just there. Just present.
Because I think about that all the time. Like, how do I show up for someone who feels the way I did? And then I think I was kind of annoyed that nobody showed up the way I wanted them to or expected them to. But I had to remember that you don't know what you don't know. So if your mom never died, you don't know how to like help someone like feel good after their mom dies.
Right.
So like, I still think like, how would I show up for somebody? Is it asking like, do you need anything? Like, is it like, what the fuck is it?
I think it just has to be genuine. I think it has to be genuine and just be present,
Yeah.
consistent. But I think you also have to understand the flows of grief too. It's like that first month, everybody cares.
Everybody cares.
Everybody's like there.
But when it feels like nobody cares, it hurts really badly.
It's like a year later, you like, damn, who gonna really do something?
Like, who really fucking cares?
Right. And so I think that's the big. I will always say just be present. And when you're around a person, you can feel their energy. So it's like you just show up. I might just go kick it with his mom. I might just go sit with his sister. And through that process, we may cry, we may laugh, we may reminisce, but we're all present in the moment.
Yeah.
And we're trying to have a good day.
So what you just said was basically like, just be present. Like, it hurts when it feels like everyone forgot.
True.
But to have you still come around and show that he's going to be with you forever and to like love on his family like they were your own, like I think, yeah, that is like the greatest gift of how you can help somebody and be there for somebody. Like, never forget them and be genuine in your actions of like, you're my family now.
Right, especially if you consider that person your family.
Yeah.
And you show up for them. Like with Ridge, I was supposed to go have a drink with his baby mom yesterday, but I was doing something. But you're just trying to be there, and just it's. I think that we have to learn that the power of now and today, right? And what death has taught me is that unfortunately, someone dies every day. That's the reality of life, right? But you also have to understand how to maximize and have a good day. And so therefore, I focus on today.
Yeah.
And if I can have a good day, I would hate to have a bad day and that be my last day.
Right?
And so I'm so caught up in the moment and having a good day, I wake up and think about, okay, we're going to have a good day.
So I was going to ask you, like, how have all these deaths impacted you on, like, staying present and, like, how you appreciate life? And so I guess it's living in the now?
Yeah, it has. I mean, it broke me for a long time. Like I said, I didn't feel like myself for maybe like the last 2 years because I was constantly going to funerals, like every 3 months I was going to a funeral or at the furthest. Like I had made a post the other day because my nephew had drowned on spring break of this year, and it was right before my birthday. So 2 years in a row for my birthday, I was at funerals. And so in August came, I said it's the first time in 4 months that I haven't been to a funeral. And it's the longest time I've went without going to a funeral in almost 3 years. 4 months.
That's heartbreaking, what you just said. Do you think that you stay busy because of all the grief that you have?
No, I feel it. Like, I think the worst thing you can do, I think this is what most people do, is run from it.
Okay.
I think it's gonna hit you. You can't avoid that pain. Feel it. Like, literally feel that pain. Self-awareness is the biggest thing about mental health.
Okay.
Being honest with yourself to say, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
My heart hurts at times. Like
That
a
physical
real, like,
pain.
ooh, that's different.
Yeah.
Feel that though. And I think through that you can begin to heal. But avoiding it, like I've had friends say, oh, I don't want to accept it, or I don't want to think about it. Like the first time I dealt with grief was like my grandmother, and this was like 10 years ago, and I'm her oldest grandchild. I don't think I learned how to grieve until 5 years afterwards. That time I was trying to be busy. I was the oldest grandchild, and everybody was looking at me and trying to look for me for strength, and I was just trying to be stern. I'm the big dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, grandma left me, like, and I wasn't honest with my pain. I wasn't transparent with myself, how hurt I was. And so it took me a long time to heal. That's why I say it's an ongoing process, because something's always going to trigger a memory. And so I think that, like, you have to literally be honest and transparent and feel the pain. I know it's not like the comfortable thing to do, but through that, you begin to heal.
Yeah.
I think that's where your healing starts, and when you can really face yourself and be like, no, I'm at my lowest point.
And that's a theme in mental health in general, like just going for it, like facing it head on. Like our last 2 episodes that's what it was about.
You have to literally
Just deal with it.
deal with it in your levels of capacity, and also learn yourself enough to know what your limits are.
Yeah.
Like my social capacity is not what it used to be. I get drained a lot easier now. Like yesterday, I had a shirt on, and it had a picture of me in trouble on the shirt, and a lot of people were just like, "Yeah, bro, I really be missing bro out here." I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, me too, bro.
Right. Yeah. So, but also it's weird because you start hearing those cliche things, and you just try to learn how to deal with it, in a positive manner. Because like I said, at first it caused me to be very angry, because I was just so hurt with the world, and I just I didn't think people cared how I cared, or they didn't know.
Yeah.
People
People don't know what they don't know. But it's like people have to give you grace, but we have to remember to give others grace when we can. When we're out of our like deep mourning, we have to remember like, all right, they don't know what they don't know. And so just forgiving them and everyone around you, like this is my pain and I don't have to project it on other people, but this shit sucks.
Yeah. And I think it's the reality of it, that makes it heavy. To where you have to just be cautious and take time for yourself. Like I said, be able to disconnect, be able to take your time, be able to take time to yourself to really reflect.
How do you take time for yourself?
I do daily reflections.
How does that look?
So I process. So I was reading something, Battle Cry. It's a great book. It's about mental health and men, and it had
Write it down.
one of the biggest things in a grieving or the process of feeling things is to process what you're feeling. And so I try to reflect on my day. So at the end, I don't do it every day. I need to get better, but I try to reflect and think about what I did that day, and then what interactions made me to feel certain ways, and what were my triggers throughout that day, and just be honest about it. So it's like I would say, okay, today I slept till 2. I got here. Well, no, I got here 12, so I didn't sleep till 2. So came here. How did I feel? How was my energy at the podcast? How did I feel about the interaction I'm going to have with bowling? What could I have done? How could I challenge myself to be better? So I just always reflect, and I think my transparency with myself allows me not to care what no one else thinks. So I'm that transparent to where it's like, not in an arrogant or nonchalant way, but I don't care about other people's opinions. It's like, I know who I am, I know who I want to be, I know what I'm working towards, and I may not necessarily fit the prototypical what you think I am. And that's okay. You don't even have to like me. I don't care. You'll be okay. Like, you'll get over that. But I was telling Truth earlier, I said, one of my new phrases is less people pleasing, more God pleasing.
I saw that on your Instagram and I love that.
Yeah, I don't care about what people think no more. Like, for what? What?
Well, one, they don't pay your bills, but two, it doesn't accomplish anything. You miss out on so much thinking about other people's opinions.
I'm here to do God's work. I'm here to make a difference in the world. And I know what that looks like in my passion and what I want to do. And so if I'm working towards that daily, one thing, one of Nipsey quotes was that, I remember they said, when do you think you will be done? And he said, the object is to pour everything out into this lifetime. So when your time comes, you don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I have lived with no regrets tatted on my chest. I don't want to regret any, there's still some things I haven't done. Like, to a lot of people, I've accomplished some great things. And I've done some great things. There's so much more I want to do. There's so much more, there's so much impact that I want to have on the world. And so I know that about myself. And it kind of goes to the podcast name, Betting on Me. It's like, I have to work in my purpose.
Yeah.
I have to have impact. Like, I used to sell cars for a long time, right? I used to sell everything. I knocked doors at AT&T U-verse, did that. I did Comcast, I did DirecTV, I sold cars. But I got fired from selling cars because I started to want to build the Smart Foundation. So shout out to some men are really trying. And when I was building that at work, they ended up firing me. And from that moment on, I didn't take a job for the last 3 years. And then last year, and it kind of relates to divine timing, the day after Trouble died, I started my dream job as a community organizer. And I know that was my I started my dream job as a community organizer the very next day, and I didn't necessarily know what the work was. Like I knew I was doing this type of work, but to get paid and do it professionally is something completely different. And so my dad, and then now I work in legalizing marijuana is like my day job.
Nice.
And so my dad's like, he literally says all the time, you bet on yourself, and you literally won. Like, how does that feel? And I knew something was greater for me. And I've been on this journey of activism for like 9 years. And so it's taken a lot of times of me turning my back on the crowd and saying, I don't care what y'all think. Like, I remember the NFL boycott. I didn't watch football for 4 years. Everybody else.
Thank you.
I mean, but there were so many people who didn't understand that sacrifice. And so I think, like, in order to get something accomplished, you have to sacrifice something.
And keep going. And ride it out.
Yeah.
Till the wheels fall off. Like,
If you genuinely feel like you're doing the right thing, that's what you have. And you have to be willing to turn your back on the crowd and say, I know what I'm doing is right. And then it depends on your level of faith.
yeah.
I think the biggest thing about grief is a test of your faith. I've heard so many people, especially some of my friends, we've lost some young friends. And some of them, you know, we had an honest conversation about our anger with God and being like, it changes your whole perception. But it's crazy because I was listening to a song on the way here that Trouble had, and it says, please don't lose your faith. I said, don't lose your faith, keep your faith, you know, believe in what you believe in, your higher power, your God, whatever that looks like, and then know what your purpose is and work and continue to work towards that daily. And
It'll always work out. I put a post up the other day. It says something like, it's amazing what happens when you let go of things that aren't for you and see all the blessings that like come towards you, something like that. And it's just so true. You drop something when it's just, that's not your purpose. And just move forward and like have faith that it's all gonna work out.
That's hard. I have this saying, I say let go and let God.
Yeah.
And that's with people, that's with things that don't serve your purpose.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody the other day that one of my homegirls broke up with a dude, and she was just like, she knew it wasn't right, but she was willing to try to make it work.
You will close every blessing and stop all of them.
I said, God will make you uncomfortable. He will make you move.
He will sit you down if you disobey how uncomfortable you've been trying to fight for the thing that's not right for you.
Definitely.
You do not want to get sat down by God. Like, that's one thing I work towards not having to deal with. Like,
oh, trust me. I feel like I've had some sit down moments to really sit down. Like, I remember last year, at the end of last year, I went to Vegas by myself. I wasn't supposed to go by myself. And the dude I was supposed to go with, like, last minute told me he wasn't going. While I was in the airport. And I just was like, I was so pissed off, right? But at the same time, I was like, I'm going to spend these 5 days by myself and get ready for the next year. I'm going to really just take the time to sit down and feel what I'm feeling and strategize what I want. I think the biggest thing we're missing as a culture is the ability to plan.
yeah.
No one's really moving intentionally enough or know where they're going with direction or purpose. It's just like, it's a free fall. It's like, it's a survival instinct. Everyone's trying to survive, but it's like, you have to think it through and know what you want and know what direction you're going to in order to not be derailed from your plan. And so I feel like right now, I'm back in my zone. And when I get in my zone, man, I feel good. And it's because I know what I'm capable of, and I know the work that I want to do, and then I know like the platform that I have, it allows me to do it. But I always suggest that people really sit down, and Ridge used to always say, think it through. He had a quote. He said, I find myself quoting him so much lately. He said, don't start anything without thinking how you want the outcome to look. And then in my training, in my job, we had this thing, I think one of my former jobs, we had this thing called POP. It's
Hold it down.
yes, hold it down. But it's called purpose, outcome, process.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing an event, what's the purpose of this event? What's the outcome that I'm looking for? And then what's the process of how we get to that outcome? And so I look at everything in that manner of POP, like, okay, first I can't do anything that I don't feel is purposeful.
Correct.
I can't. And then I can't do something where we haven't really looked at the process and really detail, okay, and I'm a numbers person, so everything's metrics. It's like, okay, how do we grow? Like even in a podcast space, how do you grow from 0 subscribers to 25 to 50? And how do you gauge the differences of what you're doing? What type of marketing are you doing? How are you having more impact? How are you bringing people in? So I think of everything in that manner of business. And so, but I think that's just a thing that allows me to deal with everything. Is like I know what I want, and the mission is, and it's funny. The day before Trouble died, we had a meeting, and I sent him this Kobe quote. He's a big Kobe fan, and I hate Kobe. I hated Kobe.
Sheesh.
Not as a
I know.
I'm a LeBron James fan. Not, I would say I respect Kobe. Not I hated Kobe.
Bro, I got you, bro.
I didn't love
Cancel
Kobe.
him.
But so we walked in the meeting, and I was like, man, fuck Kobe. But that's how I walked in the meeting. And so, but I was like, no. In his retirement, I grew to listen to his interviews. I'm a bit like, for me to be a fan of a person, I like to listen to him. Like before I became a Nipsey Hussle music fan, I was a fan of what he said, what he stood for.
Yeah.
And so June 3rd, we had this meeting, and I sent him this clip of Kobe. And Kobe said, make a contract with yourself. And throughout the time period, you always want to negotiate with yourself, but reflect back to that contract and that commitment that you said, I want this, and I'm willing to put the work in to do this. Whatever that this is, check yourself. And that's why I say it's always about self-reflection for me. It's not like when you get to a certain point, people get the big head, I got 25,000 followers. I'd be like, block. Like, I don't care about that. But it's about what I want. But I also know that like in order to have maximum impact, I had to embrace more of a spotlight. Like my first 4 or 5 years of my journey, I didn't like the attention. I never because I came from a street environment, and it was like, I got one foot in.
Did you grow up with both your parents?
Did I grow up with both of them?
Yeah.
Yes. They were divorced when I was like 11, 12, but they were very present. Like my family is so close because they grew up together. They got married really, really young. My dad spoke at my mom's grandmother's funeral.
Gotcha.
So that's how like they grew up together. My mom was 16, my dad was 18, 19 when they met. They married when my mom was like 20. They were together till my mom was like 30. And then they separated. But my dad's like on his 3rd marriage now. But shout out to Pops though.
But that's my dad, I'm still beside him.
That's my boy. But they've always had a great relationship as far as co-parenting. There's never been any toxicity or trying to keep someone from each other. It's never been that.
I can only imagine. Was that 10 minutes? All right, we got 10 minutes. Let me see your best dance move right now. That's what we got?
That's all I got.
Sorry to hear that, bro. You said what?
I'm more of a two-stepper, you know what I'm saying? That means it has to be synergy. It has to be, I react off of what a woman's doing. Yeah, I'm a catcher. I'm a sway with her, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a dirty wine as far as she goes.
Dirty wine is wild, bro. You gotta relax.
I'm a two-step, you know what I'm saying? I like to be in the presence of women. So it's like, I ain't just really out here just dance fever, but if the tune come on, I feel it, I'm gonna cut a rug or I'm gonna sing it along, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna engage in that with the woman.
We talked about earlier, like, about dating, and you said some really amazing things, and I'd be, like, remiss if you didn't, like, just spit a little bit about that, about how you're healing.
Okay.
And, yeah, pour it on me, bud.
Yeah, I'm healing. I think that sometimes when you're grieving, the biggest thing you try to do is fill a void.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, when I first was dealing with a lot of deaths, I was trying to keep people around me. And that doesn't necessarily help. And so I feel like you have to be able to be honest with yourself and be okay with no one being there to take on the journey by yourself of the self-care, of healing. And you can't put that on anyone else because a lot of people, like you said, don't understand what you're going through. They're there, but they don't understand your level of pain.
Being with someone while you're mourning and dealing with your own journey could do like more harm for them than anything. Like I did that. I got in a relationship after my mom passed, and although she taught me so much and like we had a great relationship, I just think I needed someone And they gave me so much because I was leaning on them, but I don't think I was putting in more into me healing, and the relationship turned into my healing journey. And that's just not fair. So it's important that you understand that while you're healing, why throw anybody else into your mess?
Right, and it works both ways too. Cause mine was a little different. I felt like I did get in a relationship right afterwards, but it was because the person was there for me so much during that time
Yeah.
that I felt like it would be rewarding them, or that we deserve to move forward.
I hear you.
But I think like up until that time, everything was going at a good pace. It wasn't rushed. It was organic. It was really getting to know. But when you got to start planning a funeral and you got to do all the things, and that person's there with you consistently trying to be there, it levels everything up a notch. And so I think that you do feel like you want someone there, which is a complete understandable feeling, because you do feel alone, you feel hurt, and sometimes you don't want to be alone. But I think in dating, it's different for men and women a little bit, because I think that most of the time in dating, men spend most of their time putting more of a woman's feelings before their own.
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to be a little more selfless, or selfish in a sense, as a man, when you're dealing with that, to understand like I can't deal with you right now. Like, unfortunately, like, I just don't care enough to worry about your small things that you're going through. It's like, I want to be there for you.
Tamara at work right now just isn't important because you're dealing with a bunch of shit.
Right.
I get that. Tamara
Right.
ate your sandwich.
It's
Shut
like,
up.
it's like,
Sorry, Tam Tam.
the level of what we're talking about is just not comparable. It's like what you're like, and you start.
And you don't have the capacity to care about that at the moment.
Right. So I think, but we also have a want for companionship, and I think we want someone to be there.
How do you get your companionship right now? Do you surround yourself with family, friends? You have your self-care Sundays. I'm sure that does a lot for you. I mean, not like, romantically, but like at least it gives you,
No,
people.
I literally, for a while, I just had to take a step back. I had to take a step back and realize that the people that I lost, those voids are unfillable.
Heard.
And it's not a reasonable expectation to put that on other people. And so I had to also realize that, like, when I was seeking companionship at the beginning of the process, I didn't necessarily like the company I was keeping. I didn't feel like it was pouring into me. The way it was just, I was just there for the hell of being around people. And so I had to really just be like, okay, it's okay to be by yourself. It's cool. And I'm a introvert at heart. So it's like, I could be I call my apartment the dungeon. It's super dark, it's real quiet, it's peaceful. And so I think I had to heal myself first, or begin my healing process, in order to pour into other people. And so I think that was my thing. And then now I'm more receptive to companionship. But again, I couldn't compare that to the friends that I lost. So I had to really just understand. And one thing I loved about Trouble was that he understood different friends for different situations. So like if some street shit going on, I don't get that phone call. It's not my thing. He got homies for that. You know what I'm saying?
Don't call me for that.
But if we kicking it, we doing some business, we around some, like, we literally probably together every day the last 5 years of business and women and just having a good time, we're gonna do that together. And so I think that to think that companion is, that role is gonna be automatically filled, is an unreasonable expectation to place on other people. And so I think that you have to just figure out your capacity of where you are and what works for you. And I think everyone's journey is different, because some people feel like they need somebody to be there all the time. And I'm just like, can y'all just give me a little space?
Shut up. Here you
I
go.
don't like it.
I get that.
I try to embrace it, but it's like, I wouldn't consider myself a people person, like, to strangers. But with having a huge platform and things, I had to learn how to be like, oh, hey, like, I had to learn to be responsible as a leader and not just be an asshole all the time. Like, I don't give a fuck who you are. Like,
No, you gotta give a fuck.
I'm not interested. But it's like, even when we were sitting next door, somebody was like, you know what? I follow you on social media. And I don't want that to feel weird. And I was like, it's not weird. I'm used to it at this point,
You guys have a good conversation at least?
It was quick. It was just meeting, just hey,
Yeah.
you know who you are, or
Yeah.
whatever. It wasn't really
Love a good quick conversation.
Yeah, it was just hey, who you are, and just normalizing. Because I think we put people on a pedestal, and my whole thing is like, I know what I do is not the norm because I work in a political space a lot of times. A lot of people don't know too much about politics, and so I feel like it's informative, but I want to normalize what I do. Like
Yeah.
I don't want you to look at me as like, oh, you're the next so and so. You're the next leader for our black. Like, that's amazing, and if that happens, I'm for it at this point. But I used to run from that as well
Yeah.
because I didn't like attention, and so I had to learn how to embrace the attention that came with the work. For me, it's always been about do the work first, and then if the attention comes with the work, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's like we live in this social media era where people want the attention. And so it's like, and it's so funny because even like in dating, right? Now in people's comfort levels, they won't give you their number, they give you their Instagram.
I swear to God, I'm one of those people.
But let me tell you how that works in my favor, right? I have 27,000 followers. A girl sees my Instagram, they like, who are you? They like, what do you do?
Oh, okay.
So it's like,
I ain't got no goddamn followers. Okay.
I'm like, but so it's an easy win for me.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
Also, it breeds people that that feel like they want to be a part of whatever you're doing, for whatever reason. They want to know more now. Now they're intrigued, and so I like to genuinely just get to meet people who don't know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
I literally love just a casual conversation, like. And I don't get enough of that anymore. It's just like yesterday, somebody's like, I follow you, and I want to tell you why I support Trump. I was like, I'm literally 4 or 5 drinks in at the bar, and I don't feel like having this conversation right now. I don't feel like doing it. But it's the reality of what I built my platform on in politics and in my calling. And so I've learned to embrace whatever God sees for my life. I realized that my plan may not necessarily be God's plan. Because I thought I had a good plan. And he said, turn that shit upside down. And so I try to stick to my faith. I try to move forward daily with a positive mindset of having a great day and whatever flows from that. And I believe in divine timing. So I don't feel like no interaction just happens for no reason. So I feel like we're always in a moment to serve a purpose. And if you take advantage of those opportunities that come knocking at your door, like I used to run from them. So I had to just really be like, okay, if they're coming and it continues to come, please embrace it.
You gotta be obedient.
Right.
You have to be obedient.
One of my friend Troy, said he had a dream. Troy is Ridge's best friend. And he said Ridge came to him in a dream and said that when you don't follow the ideas that you have, you're being disobedient to God. And I was like, oof.
You can't be disobedient. I always say that, like when I get a gut feeling, then I know it's time. Like one day I woke up and, all right, this is very small meat, but I woke up and I was like, yeah, I think I'm never gonna eat meat again. But it's like I had a gut feeling, and it's something that I go with.
But that's a level of discipline, though.
But you have to have that, and so and I never crave meat or whatever. But it's something that it was just time. Or I had really bad car anxiety. And again, another small idea. But I had very bad car anxiety, and I was never gonna get on the highway. And one day I woke up and I was like, I'm confident enough that I should get on the highway today. Like I listen to my gut. And so I feel like I follow like God's plan in like a lot of areas in my life with just using my gut. Like I know what feels good right now because I'm going to trust my instincts, right?
Yeah. I think that's the way we should move.
Yeah.
You know, like, and we also like, there's always something, just some people call it subconscious, but you know what's good for you. You know it's not. In dating, I ain't really.
Yeah, that's where I really dropped the ball recently, bro. I had gut instinct and I was bullshitting. I was bullshitting.
But people do that for the level of comfort and to have someone there in the moment. I think we have to be able to learn how to be alone and to be able to be comfortable and be like, this ain't really for me. Like, and you know what? And I was talking to one of my homegirls. We were saying, it always takes us getting to the point to be like, damn, I wouldn't have did you like that. I wouldn't have, whatever the situation was, I wouldn't have done that to you. And that's usually our breaking point. But there's usually other signs before you get there that show you like, Well, I think a lot of times, with myself personally, like I know that like I can get a feeling whether I would date someone, whether I'm just trying to smash someone, or if I really want to be with that person long.
Yeah.
Like you kind of, and so I get to the point where I try to make sure I don't play with people's emotions.
Good for you.
I try to be very
You
transparent.
hear that, gang?
I try
Don't
to
play
be
with people's emotions.
right. I try to be very, very transparent in what I feel, and not worrying about whether or not people disagree with it. I'm like, but it's what I feel, because if you do what's best for yourself, whoever doesn't like it, it's okay. They'll get over it. But I think dating is very manipulative. I think all men are, in it. We're all trying to get some ass at the end of the day. We are. Let's see, that's a don't do that. That's a transparency.
No, it's true.
Right?
That's so
That's what I'm
fucking
saying.
awful.
It's a but I think we all have to be honest about that. Like, we're in a hypersexual culture,
Fendi bags.
and we have to be able to be really transparent to say, look, okay, yes, I am attracted to you, but I'm not trying to lead you on to something that you feel. Like, a lot of people will play that role of wanting to be with you, not wanting to be with you. And then they get some, they're like, oh yeah, I can be myself now. And I think
That's so ghetto.
it happens a whole.
I
but
know.
I think also so many people are in love with being in love, and so you invite that euphoric fairy tale is gonna happen right now. Like, stop trying to fall in love today, but let that process build with the person. I think.
I've gotten the wrap it up sign. Dave Chappelle, wrap it up.
BT, wrap it up.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your words and your wisdom, face ass.
Thank you, kindly.
Yeah. This Joe Biden fly is wild.
The Joe Biden.
It's a Joe Biden fly. But seriously, though, I appreciate you. I've really only seen your stuff on Instagram in passing. This was much more than I could have expected. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you decided and continue to decide to bet on yourself. It's going to work out well, obviously. And it continues to work out well. And
I don't believe in losing.
you can't lose, bro. If you bet on yourself, you can't lose. So I'm grateful and I appreciate you.
Ooh, that's another thing. One last thing. I don't believe in losing, but I don't believe in bad days. So that's a concept I have about mental health. We have bad moments,
Yes.
but how you carry that, how you let go and let God of that moment. It's like I tell my mom sometimes when she goes through something, she got to call everybody in the family to tell them what happened.
And that just keeps it
And that
going.
keeps it going the whole day.
Now your day is about that shit.
So it's like the car situation. It's over with. Don't talk about it no more. Figure out how you can deal with it.
Oh no, I've done. I've had my mezcal. I'm chilling with my gang.
You're good.
Squad.
And you're good to go.
Yeah.
So no bad days. We don't believe in those.
I feel that. I
No
agree
bad
with you.
days.
Let's do a hand clap.
Life be lifing.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate you having me.